Hi everyone, welcome back to the Colour Cave where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem and I am at a bit of an impasse, so I thought I would share with you my sort of brain farts. It's very rarely that I'm stuck with a drawing or stuck for inspiration, so this is quite odd for me. I hope you're all having a lovely Sunday. Just before we get started, I have added some more items to the stash shop over on the website. The link for that is in the description if you want to head over and have a nosy at the used art supplies that are available. You will remember over the last wee while I did a couple of Graphitint drawings. This was originally a scroller box prompt with the Graphitint paint set, I think, and I did one of my little sets of floating islands. That then bred another picture, and this is the view from this side over here. So I want to do a third piece to complete the set, and I'm going to sell them as a set of prints, and I want it to be of inside this cave area. Now I have tried already, I've tried a couple of times just in my sketchbook to come up with some ideas, and to be honest I just wasn't fussed on any of them, so I'm going to have another go today and just sort of let my musings come out as I go along. So I've printed myself off a couple of reference images that I kind of liked and thought that I might want to fit into some sort of theme. So I'm in my old trusty pencil case here and just all the usual suspects, an eraser. I'm going to start with a mechanical pencil. This is a really cheap one, it's nothing fancy. We don't need fancy right now, what we need is some sort of production. So this one is going to be landscape as well, the same as this one. So when I'm doing these sort of thumbnail ideas, we just want to start out with roughly that shape because that's obviously quite helpful. So I'll maybe try two there and just see what I can come up with, and then we'll try and maybe get something a bit more refined down in this bottom section. Zoom in a little bit, there we go. Yeah, so I've kind of, I was thinking about the view, and I think it would be a bit more interesting if the view was taken from inside the cave. The irony is not lost on me, by the way, that I'm stuck with a cave and this is the cave and we're in the cave. I see that. But I thought the view would be more interesting if the viewpoint was from inside the cave looking towards the exit or the mouth of the cave. And that would give us a chance to really utilise some of the light and dark aspects of, of the picture and just make it a bit more interesting. So I was thinking maybe, we'd have the mouth of the cave there and maybe it comes down at an angle, maybe like we're down a slope, so we're kind of looking up, and maybe there's something going on there. So we could have some sunlight coming through here. So that would be a nice light area of the picture, and then we could gradually make things darker as we went around. So it is going to be stone, and I wanted to use these sort of colours again. So as I'm going, I'm trying to think about the pencils that I've used before and the colours that come in the Graphitint set and also in the little paint set as well, and just really try and utilise that. So I thought maybe if, we could have another bit coming down, like maybe if we just did a zigzag. But here, where this mouth of the cave is, there is a tree. So the tree is up here somewhere, that's going to be the surface, let's call that the surface. So I was thinking maybe we could have some sort of tree roots coming down, in here, and maybe make this an interesting feature. Maybe it could be, all the way in there. And maybe we can have some roots just coming through, in this sort of foreground area. I'm not entirely sure. And I'm imagining as well that at the mouth of the cave there was this sort of platform out front there. So maybe we can see some vegetation here as well. It would be a lot greener in this area. Now wait a minute, I do actually have, I've got a green Pilot pen. So these are also retractable pencils, but they're coloured and you can erase them. So if I just use that as an indicator, so we'd maybe have a lot of greenery here, maybe this whole section could be green. And the vegetation would lessen the further we get into the cave. So maybe maybe we could have a little pool of water in here as well. And maybe there could be some light reflecting off the water. Weirdly, I've got a blue one as well. These are the only two I don't have a full set of these. I would like a full set of these. but maybe we could have like, you know, reflections of the water here. And then down in this sort of foreground area, maybe this could just be like a big pile of rocks on this side. That's not that interesting though, really, is it? And maybe we could have some sort of like rock formation here, like a sort of pillar type thing, and that could come up into the ceiling somewhere here. And maybe this side could be really rocky, because I'm trying to think about, if I just go back to my picture here. So we're going to be facing the other, so that's going to be the left hand side of this picture is going to be this cliff edge, which is where our tree is, and this side is the side that disappears off down into these other rocky areas in here. So that would be this side. Yeah, so if we made this side really rocky, you know, maybe make that quite severe in there, and it comes down somewhere here. And then this side could maybe be a bit more lush. Maybe we could have some moss and some things growing in there. And this part's going to be really dark, but I would maybe have some more indications of, you know, something like this. That might work. Okay, so let's think about this again. So this is the rocky side and this is the green side. It's all very technical. And maybe, I'm kind of liking this idea about this being quite high up in the picture, and maybe we'll make it a bit more irregular, because it's quite irregular in the original drawing. So we have that there. So, and this is going to be the lighter. Maybe we could change the light angle. Maybe it could be coming in like this. So we'd be highlighting this, again, our tree's up here somewhere. So we could be highlighting this sort of root system from the tree, and that could maybe build in and be our slope on this side. And then we'd have this other bit here, and that could, you know, we'd have some rocks in here, but this could be a bit like a little bit mossy. Maybe something sprouting there, I don't know what that is. Let me bring that up to about there. And then we'd have the kind of outside, bring this right down, something like that. And so then we could have some roots just like hanging down, make that a bit more interesting, and this part would be green out here. I don't know what we're going to do with the sky outside. This is obviously, the dark clouds are kind of just on their way at this point, and this has got really dark, but I don't know, because this is our light source, maybe I want this a bit lighter, so I could maybe go with this more sort of pinkish shade that I used before. I'm just going to put pink in there. Pink? maybe pink. And then we'll make this the rocky side. I want the side of the cave wall to be seen there, so this pillar is going to have to be, and then we'll have, this is a rocky bit. Could maybe just have a little pair of eyes in there at the back. Ooh. And then some more rocks in here. Maybe that's just like an edge, you know, maybe there's a drop here, and this could be like a little, not a path, but just, you know, a less rocky part, you know, a bit smoother. And then we could have this little pool of water lying here, couldn't we? So the way the light's coming in, it would reflect off the water somewhere here, and then we could make this much, like this could be really dark over this side, and then it would lighten up. But then we've got this, see, I always find that like the immediate elements, you know, if you want something in there, it's very, very doable. But it's the kind of space round about that, and it's figuring out what you want to go. Maybe these tree roots will come down over some sort of boulder here, you know, like make them like this. And then see, we've got, this is going to be really dark round here, and this is going to be dark round here, and see, we'll have a little pair of eyes poking out there. This feels too clean though with this edge. And obviously because the light's coming in the way, that would be really, really dark, because the light's not going to be hitting that. So I don't know. But again, if we've got a little bit of greenery around these areas here, then maybe that would be okay. And we'll maybe try out some of the colours and just see what happens. Grab a wee water brush as well. I'll just use the medium point one. Has this got water in it? Yeah, it has. These are the Kuretake H2O water brushes. I use them all the time. They're pretty old, but they're very reliable. That's why I like them. Okay, so let's draw in these basic shapes again. So these tree roots are going to be quite close to the edge. So if I just block that in first of all. And then maybe they can start spreading out here. And we were going to have a big rock maybe somewhere here, weren't we? So maybe this can come down over here, something like that. So I do want this one to be a little bit more detailed. Something like that maybe. Work on the shape of this tree. It's not going to be that straight. Make this a bit jaggier. Jaggier. Okay, there we go. So maybe this is the edge there. Maybe that's all we can see. Maybe it's just that tiny little sliver. And we could make some rock facets here. So there might be parts where the light hits, you know, if there's bits sticking out this way. And then we're going to have this. Maybe we'll start this other part here. And maybe it comes down like this. And then it can disappear off behind this big pile of rocks here. And then we'll have our little pairs of eyes in here. So this section at this side is going to be really, really dark. And then we're going to have another bit coming down in here. I say maybe this will be more sort of gravelly than anything else. Maybe we'll have another pile of rocks up in here. Because I'm thinking there must be some sort of soil here. Like there must be some sort of layer of soil. So maybe we'll make that more brown than rocky, you know, just at that very top part. And I think there should be, although I want most of the greenery on this side, I do think there should be a sprouty plant of some description here. So we'll just, I don't know what kind of plant that is. Oh my. This is what I'm talking about, guys, like seriously. Make that quite rocky as well. And maybe we'll make this gravelly too, I don't know. And then we're going to have this body of water, because there is a chance if it's further down, you know, if you've come in down into the cave, there is a water source nearby. So maybe there's maybe our little mountain top here sprung a leak somewhere, and we've got our own little built-in swimming pool in this floating island. Who knows? But yeah, we'll bring that down there, because again, if there's water present, we'll bring that. Oh, like, yeah, let's just make it to there. If there is water present, there is a chance that there will be vegetation growing. So again, we'll just make this mossy. And then we'll maybe have a few plants and things growing here. We'll make that quite interesting. We could busy that up a little bit, just have that one little splodge, which kind of leaves me this open area here. But we've got this big rock here, so I suppose we could make that a bit more interesting, couldn't we? See, do you see what I'm saying though? Like there's lots of gaps in this picture, and I'm not really sure whether or not we're going to be able to make something that's that interesting. So I am struggling to remember what I used. I'm actually going to have to go back and watch the previous videos, because I can't quite remember what colours were used where. They were a little while ago now. It was a couple of months ago, and my memory's not that good. I do remember using slate green for the water though. So this is just going to be like a very, very casual indication here. You know, I'm not going in gospel. And plus as well, I don't want to use too much water in this sketchbook. It's not really designed for this. But there we are. So if we had some water in there. Now again, if I think about the light source maybe coming in at an angle, then we're going to be dark in here, aren't we? So I could maybe even put a little bit of that ocean blue in there at the bottom, because it's quite a blue. That means intense. In Gem speak, blue. And maybe, you know, and we'll sort out the ins and outs of the reflection afterwards. But now I do believe it was russet and a little bit of autumn brown that I used for the actual stone, possibly. See what I mean? This is what as for the sky, I think I really need to be utilising the fact that we've got the white of the paper rather than trying to put a colour in it. Oh, if we had... Now this tree, again, I can't really remember what colour the tree was. But yeah, so we could use a little bit of this here. And the highlight would be mostly down on this bottom part rather than up here, because this is, you know, above the line of the cave entrance. I'll pop that in there, and that would be a lot darker down that side. lot darker. So we could be selective with highlights there. Maybe use a different, you know, a couple of different shades of brown in there, and then just lessen that up. That would give us some nice contours for the actual tree as well. Isn't it funny how I always end up drawing trees? Yeah, I'd probably go darker brown than that as well. I'm trying to think about the light in this cave as well, and I feel it would be like a greeny grey brown. Green grey, there's an idea. So if I just use that, oh wow. If I just use that for the backdrop just now, give us a bit of atmosphere, why not? And then I would merge that into, you know, some sort of other brown. That would be like our soil, maybe. And what I think I would do as well is I would use the green grey to mute down some of the other colours, because if I was going to use russet for the stones, which I think I would be using a fair amount of, it is quite a yellowish colour, and while we want that yellowish feel to it, it is going to be muted, especially in these darker areas, so I will have to think about how I'm going to, you know, make them a lot darker. So we'd go pretty heavy in with the russet here, I would think. You know, that would be quite dark. And grab some of these lighter green pencils as well. So the same down here, this would be quite dark. I'd just like to say at this juncture as well, I've talked to Julia about this. That's Julia of Julia K Art Studios, and basically most of the pages in my sketchbook look like this. There's very, very little finished work in it, and I always marvel at these people that you know, on YouTube that do sketchbook tours. I'm like, it's really not that interesting. Yeah, so but there we go. That's actually going to mix quite nicely with the russet as well. We give us some like a mossy effect there. And again, this would be really, really dark, so I might have to pick a suitable colour for, you know, to blend in with that and just make that a bit darker. Obviously, I'm not thinking about texture here. I'm just trying to think about colour placement and where things are going to be light and dark. I will match up with the colours that I used on the trunk in the second picture. So like this here, I will match up those colours so that they, you know, the three pictures tie together. That's kind of the general idea. Mix that in with some russet and see, yeah, there we go. See, that's what we want. So it's a kind of like, almost like a muddy version, especially, see, in these dark sections, because this whole part's going to be dark. I am thinking about the tree roots though, because I didn't really draw them in, did I? Because I want these sort of like hanging down here. So I may end up, depending on how dark the, you know, this background part ends up, I may have to, you know, kind of like factor that in. A sort of sliver of green out there. Now, we might get a little bit of light here. You know, maybe just down this one side. And then the rest of this would be a bit darker. See, this is kind of picking a balance between where your light source is and making it believable in the image, but also the actual aesthetics of the picture itself. So I think maybe if we were going to have any sort of light, it would be down in this area, you know, because even the light's coming in this direction, it is going to sort of hit one of these spots somewhere. So I suppose this is going to be about degrees of dilution, you know, the final picture. I feel like that's what this is going to be all about, because we are going to try and stick to the same colour scheme. I think as well, the other thing I want to do is I did use some of the autumn brown colour. Was it autumn brown? Yeah, autumn brown in here. So I'm going to take advantage of that as well and mix it up with the russet, just so we can get a little bit of definition and there's a contrast between like the different sections, even though they're technically all made of the same stone. So down here, this could be a little bit of a gravel path, because I know we had a sort of gravel effect on the actual ledge on the outside. So again, maybe we could pop some of that in there, you know. And then we could sort of tie that in down here and have a very subtle kind of green area in here. Again, that would be a lot lighter. And we could darken that down around these outside parts where, you know, maybe there's less light involved. See, the lesson I learned from doing that first scroller challenge was really build up your colour so that you don't end up with a whole load of midtones and everything just kind of like blends into each other. That's kind of important. I'm actually quite liking the way that this is dried out. I'm like, oh, okay, let's do more of that. The problem is remembering what you did. Oh, goodness me. Was it the green grey? Yeah, it was the green grey. So there we go, I've just gone over that and that's made that a lot greener. So that's going to be quite a nice contrast between what's going on down here, because this is going to be really dark. So I'm going quite quickly here, but it's because I'm trying to get my hand to keep up with my brain, because my brain's going a lot faster than my hand is. I don't want to like miss anything, or, you know. Okay, so we're going to be mostly green there, but again, we'll mix that in with a bit of the russet to look more like the paler areas in the original pictures. Put that in there too. And then it's going to be the same on this side. So again, we'd start really dark down here, because that's going to get the least light. And this section in here is going to be pretty dark. So again, I'd start with the green grey, I think, and make that significantly dark. I would try and match up these two sides as well though. And I'll probably put the eyes in with a Posca pen, I think, as well. You know, so that they really, really pop out. Completely lost my train of thought. And yeah, that was right. I was saying I need to try and even up how dark both of these sides are. Even when I say even up, I mean, I don't mean an equal amount either side. I mean that the darkest part on this side needs to be as dark as the darkest part on this side. Just really to give it a sense of balance more than anything else. Obviously this dark part is going to come right over here because the light's going to be going in the opposite direction. And I might even sort of vignette, sort of, you know, bring this up round like this, all around and something like that. I'm going to have to think about the tree roots though. Some of them are going to dangle down quite far here, right enough. And then these sections here again, this is just going to be russet, 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 russet. But we'll make it interesting russet. It's not just going to be... Because the nice thing about these kind of sections are that rocks especially can have a lot of texture and a lot of different facets to them. And that's really, well, in my book, how to make rocks interesting. That bit's going to be a lot lighter though. That did not go according to plan. God. That was a little bit too much water as well. I'm sorry, sketchbook, you're not really built for this. Yeah, okay, and again, the same thing. So the right-hand side of these parts might be a bit lighter, so that would let us indicate where, you know, where the change in the different areas of the rocks are, because the light would just be hitting them a little bit, and then we could make this all darker in here. Again, I'll probably switch it up with a few bits and pieces. And in under these tree roots is going to be pretty dark as well. Alright, for a very quick mock-up, that's not bad. I do think I'm going to have to concentrate a lot on texture when it comes to the actual drawing itself. And obviously I'll be taking a lot more care and time, but this is more just to get an idea. Even might be almost a little tree growing there, look. Let me get into a tree. But the nice thing as well is with having the pencils and the paints, if I want to get into a lot of finer details, I can use the pencil and not activate them with water. Who's dreaming? Please tell me you guys heard that. Oh, Pip heard her. Pip's coming through to see her. Did you hear that? Don't disturb her. Shh. It's really funny. Oh, these dogs. So in terms of sky, I could use a really washed out ocean blue, maybe. Right, let's just dilute this down. And we could make sure that it's all going in the right direction. But yeah, we could sort of indicate that there's maybe some sunbeams going on there. Little beams of light. I will have to be very careful and make sure that they're going in the right direction. Oh no, I've picked up the green. So yeah, for me the sketchbook is the place to be experimenting. You don't want to be experimenting when you get onto your actual paper, because that's when you get things that you weren't expecting and it doesn't necessarily go according to plan. Okay, so now looking at this really, sometimes when I can't visualise the light sources and stuff, I just take a white pen. Oh goodness, this Posca is pretty much past it. This was my whisker pen, it was my one that was slightly dried out, but I think we're kind of past that stage now. I think I'm going to have to get a new one. Give it a shake. And you can just mark in, you know, roughly the places where you think the light would be hitting. It's like in there, and then yeah, here would be lighter. This top section here would be lighter. This part of the path might be lighted as well, and then there would be a bit of light here as I've done already, but not much, and then the same there. And everything else really You know, that if we sort of cut this off, you know, if we were to draw a line down here, then maybe the tree's going to be blocking that part, but from the point of view of this, it's basically this section here that's going to be light, so all of that is going to be dark. So that's the kind of things I'm going to have to bear in mind when I come to the actual final drawing. So yeah, I'm actually very pleased with how I've gotten on today, because it's gone a hella better than the last time I sat down and tried to, you know, tried to really do stuff with this. So that's a real bonus. And sometimes, see, because I am doing things for a video, it kind of forces me into basically just getting a grip of myself. That sounds so harsh. I know what I mean though, like kind of kickstarts you, because you feel you have to have a product at the end of all this, you know, for the sake of you guys. So that's actually been really helpful for me today. And I'm glad that I've got something I'm happy with. So I'm going to give the root situation a bit of thought. If anybody's got any comments or suggestions for that, I am completely open to it. When I look at this as a whole picture just now, this seems very light. We're going to have to really darken all of this down, because at the end of the day, it is a cave. You know, this is a bit too light and jolly to be the inside of a cave. But I think that's going to be easily done with the Graphitints and building things up. So yeah, I hope this process has been helpful for you guys today. Let me know in the comments as well if you want me to do the final drawing as a separate video. I kind of get the impression that you might be fed up with these by now, because I have done the other two as videos and it's basically going to be more of the same thing. So I don't know if that's something you want to see or not, but please feel free to let me know in the comments. You know, I always enjoy reading your comments and take on board what you're saying, at least give it a little bit of thought. So yeah, that would be really cool if you could do that. And yeah, that's about it for today. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, everyone. I appreciate the support and sticking it until the end. And I shall see you back in the cave for another video really soon. Stay safe, everyone, and bye for now.